Hello, my peeps. I decided to do another video for you guys to go through this solve by graphing systems of equations because I think it is a little confusing. Also, if anybody watches this, you're getting a freebie today because we're going to go over number one in our mastery check today. So if you watch this, follow along, and then you will just have to do number two. Okay, well, let us begin. So the first thing I want to notice is that these two equations are a system. They're married together. So the way that we know that they're married together is that they meet at a certain point. So when it says solve by graphing, our solution is that place where they meet, because that is what's linking them together. So let's start with the first one. The first one here is y equals 1/2 x plus 2. And I always want to start by graphing my y-intercept, but I have to remember what my y-intercept is. So that is huge. So we have to always remember y equals mx plus b. And I keep saying it, but the way that you remember which one's the y-intercept, or the way that I remember, is that you better believe it, the y-intercept is b, because it doesn't make any sense. So the y-intercept is b, which means I need to look at my graph, or at my equation, and I see in the b spot is my 2, okay? So I know I need to go to the 2 and put a dot there. And remember, we're working with the y-intercept, so the top one, or the one that goes up and down. So I have that. Now I need to figure out my rise over my run. And rise over run, or slope, I remember m is slope because it's got little slopey hills for the m. And in this case, it gives us a fraction already, so that's nice. So we have 1 over 2. Remember that slope is also rise over run. Rise over run, which means in this case my rise is 1 because that's on top, and my run is 2 because that's on the bottom. So I go up 1 to 3 and then over 2 for my run. So up 1 over 2. And then I go in the opposite direction. Down 1 and then over 2 to the left. Down 1 over 2 to the left. And that's all we have to do. So that's our first little equation done. And let's go ahead and do that second one. So for this one again, I want to look for my y-intercept. And in this case, my y-intercept is -1. So another thing to pay attention to, in my original equation, y equals mx plus b, if it has a negative, we're going down. So with my green, I go to -1 on the y-axis, and there's my y-intercept, where it's intercepting the y-axis. And then I look at my rise over my run, which in this case is a little tricky because we have just a negative x there. But what is being multiplied when you just have an x? When you just have an x, that actually means that there's a 1 there, right? It's always a 1x. And the other thing to pay attention to is we have a negative there. So it's actually -1x. But we still have an issue because I need rise over run. And right now I only have one number, -1. But to make any number a fraction, you just divide it by 1. So if I had the number 4, in order to make it a fraction, I would just divide it by 1. If I had the number 2, I want to make it a fraction, I would divide it by 1. Okay, so now we have our rise over our run. Our negative x became negative 1x over 1. Okay, so now from our y-intercept, we're going to go down 1 because it's negative 1, and then over 1 positive. So down 1 and then over 1 positive. Down 1, over 1, down 1, over 1, and then the same in the opposite direction. So up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, over 1, over 1. So now we have our two lines. But we're not done, right? Because I said at the beginning, we're looking for the solution to these two. And since they're married together, we have to find that key. What is marrying them together? And in this case, and in every case, it's where the two lines meet. And if you noticed when we were graphing, we actually got two lines, or the dot that, oh my gosh, my words are failing me today. We got a spot where they crash together. What on earth is happening? Okay. And that's where I just circled. All right. So now all we have to do is figure out what that point is. And in order to find a point, or what is called an ordered pair, and I always try to get you guys to remember that we're looking for x comma y. So my x, in order to get to this circled point, I need to go over 2, negative 2 for my x, and I need to go up 1 for my y. So over 2, up 1. And that is our solution. Okay, as always, reach out to me with any questions. I check my computer compulsively. And now that you have this one done, go ahead and do this number 2 on your own, and then that should do it. I can put a video in tomorrow of how to walk through this word problem. But I hope you guys have a lovely day, and